Please welcome Intercontinental Hotels Group Senior Vice President and Managing Director Europe, Karin Sheppard, and Accor CEO Europe, Franck Gervais, in conversation with Skift Hospitality Editor Cameron Sperance.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Skift Hospitality reporter Cameron Sperance, and I'm joined today by Franck Gervais, Accor CEO of Europe, and Karin Sheppard, IHG's Managing Director of Europe. Welcome to you both. I believe you're both on mute, actually, at the moment. There we go. So this is a really important time for not only the entire hotel industry, but especially Europe, y'all, where we are really on the cusp of reopening international borders to many, but not all countries. Karin, let's start with you. As the more than 40 countries are reopening in different ways across Europe, how do you form a corporate recovery strategy given the variety of responses and even different travel corridors across Europe?
Yeah, thank you, Cameron. And it is a very interesting time, and particularly when it comes to predicting how the recovery is going to shape. But I think there are some fundamentals we know probably will play out. First of all, we know that domestic recovery is going to come before international. So as you said, there's still some uncertainty around international travel corridors, who's going to let whom in. But what we are seeing is that, governments themselves are encouraging people to travel at home. And we are seeing more confidence from the consumers in doing that. So certainly both in China and in the US, we are seeing that recovery coming from domestic, mainly in the mainstream, acknowledging that it will take a little bit longer before we all completely clear on where we can go and making sure there's nothing that gets in the way of the travel.
Got it. And Franck, is Accor seeing or doing anything different in this space?
No, this is really a very specific period, and this summer will be unique, obviously. The thing is that Europe is welcoming each year half of the international tourists worldwide in Europe. So the beauty of our different countries, the 40 of them, is here for each of us for domestic travels. And what we can see is that, yes, people have not planned to go abroad. So whether from China to Europe or from Germany to Sweden, but French people will stay in France and will love that. German people will love to stay in Germany. And with all those, landscapes, mountains, seaside we've got in Europe, that's something I think we will really be proud of, and we will make the most of it for sure for each of us. So this is what we push to say, get to know your country because you get this unique occasion right now.
Absolutely. Nothing like getting to know your own backyard a little bit better this summer. Franck, while I have you, there was a little bit of disagreement between your boss, Sebastian Bazin, and Marriott CEO Arne Sorensen earlier this month with respect to Europe's recovery timeline. And Arne said European hotels would lag those of China and the US due to its reliance on long-haul travel. But Sebastian said there still is a strong domestic traveler base within Europe. Analysts have still said that Europe will continue to take a little bit longer time to recover due to its travel fundamentals. So I'm curious, how does Accor overcome that and get back to 2019 levels, knowing that long-haul travel may take a little bit longer to come back?
Yeah. Thing is that Europe, Europe is not a country. Europe is a big continent made of 40 countries. We've got 3,000 hotels there. This is half of our network. And what we are convinced of is that Europe in itself has a strong leisure and business potential. And when you look at our figures, for example, those of 2019, you can see that nearly 90% of our business is really internal to Europe. So whether purely domestic from one country within the country or from another European country to this European country. So really, we talk a lot about the Chinese, American people coming to visit such and such country, but really most of the inbounds are really coming from France to Spain or from Poland to France, and this is the reality of Europe. And I'm sure that with all those European people no longer getting to Southeast Asia, Australia, or the US, we've got a huge potential. And we've done this simulation to say, for example, in Germany is a strongly emitting country. And when you say the border will be kind of closed or something like that, then you can see the potential of this huge German market traveling within Germany. So this is what we are convinced of, and hopefully what the figures will prove. Yeah.
Absolutely. And Karin, I mean, what were you seeing in the market with respect to domestic versus long-haul travel clientele in Europe? And I mean, what do you do in the meantime until long-haul travel is back in full force?
Yeah, look, I think we're all watching the early indicators. And if we look at web searches at the moment, it is very clear that what Franck was talking about is taking place, that people are searching domestically first for places to go. A good example is Poland, where our holiday in Gdansk had very healthy occupancy levels over the weekends because it became the choice for the Polish people that may otherwise have gone abroad. So I think we're all discovering new places on our doorstep. And then secondly, we are highly interconnected. We are only a car drive away in continental Europe to other countries. So I do believe that we will see the passion for travel and for exploring will allow people within Europe to travel within Europe. And it is a region that could not be more diverse in terms of the opportunities you have between beaches and mountains, cultural events in cities. So I think there is absolutely going to be a pent-up demand from those that normally would go internationally that is being reconsidered into Europe. And whilst it might, at the moment, take a little while before we see the travel between borders, we also know that people can't wait to hear where they can go to. I'm seeing it here in the UK, where we're sitting at the edge of our seat to understand where summer holidays can be taken because of the easing of quarantine rules. So I do believe that absolutely Europe can feed a lot of travel to Europe.
Certainly. Kind of diving out into specific operations, we have been reporting and seeing a lot about the heightened cleaning protocols, both with Clean Promise at IHG, All Safe with Accor. I'm going to pose this to both of you. There are still a lot of questions about how do individual operators already struggling with low or no occupancy coming out of this and therefore limited revenue pay for things like the new materials, higher labor surrounding longer cleans between stays, more frequent cleanings in public spaces. I mean, how are you both selling operators on investing in some of these heightened cleaning protocols?
Well, I think there is absolutely an acknowledgement, and we know it from consumer research, that safety and comfort and reassurance is going to be so important to get people to travel again. I think the encouraging work that's taking place is actually amongst large global chains in influencing governments, guiding governments to make sure that as countries reopen, there is a very clear framework and guidance. So Accor in France, in their home market, were instrumental in influencing French government. Here in the UK, we're working closely with Downing Street and the tourism minister in giving that advice. I think that is of the benefit for everyone in the tourism industry because we just have got more access to resources, more insight and know-how. And what's been great to see is everyone has been sharing willingly to say, let's just make sure we can land on some common guidance that we know can be implemented by a small single hotel and by larger chains. As for the cost, yes, there are some cost implications of enhanced cleaning, but there are also other things that at the moment we can't physically do in our hotels. So certainly, as we have worked closely with our owners through our owners association, they have welcomed and they're fully backing the need to make sure we take this very seriously so we can build the trust of our guests.
Yeah, I could not agree more with Karin. I mean, this is where we can see that we need to put the customer really at the center of our discussion. I mean, let's imagine 2 seconds that you are doing your query, your research on the web. I mean, you will first look at, is this hotel or destination or train or flight safe? And this is the number 1 criteria or number 2 criteria in some countries, but whatever the country, this is now the number 1 or number 2 criteria for the customer to say hygiene and safety are key for me. So you will not get any business getting back to you if you are not fully compliant with this. And this is the beauty of Europe, because as Karin said, the rules, depending on the countries, were not the same. Were not the same in France or in Germany or in the UK. And this is where we, as hotel operators, had to play a role. And we could see that whatever the name of the chain, is it a chain or is it an organization representing the independent hotels? All of us work together to make sure that the national protocols would come out very, very early to allow each of us to reopen the hotel, bars, and restaurants, and to really close this lockdown period. That was done perfectly well. And then in this pyramid, each one of us said, yes, we want to go further this very threshold, and we want to invent something specific going much beyond this protocol. And this is what we've done, for example, with what we've called All Safe, to say we want to label each of our hotel and to make sure that a third-party company, Bureau Veritas for us, that could be anyone else for any other company, would come, spend half a day in this hotel and say, yes, this hotel is really state of the art, so you can get there because I give you the label. And then this is what the customer is expecting right now and probably for the years to come.
I can just add to that. I think we've seen governments also really play an active part in that. So here in the UK, only last week, they launched the Good to Go mark, which goes beyond hotels, goes to the wider tourism industry with simple but effective procedures for businesses, individual businesses, to self-certify and make sure that they live up to that. Why? Well, we need to go out with very strong messages to say it is safe to travel again. It is safe to explore and get out and about. So that sort of collective work really adds to what we individually do with with our programs.
Well, as a follow-up to that, I think there is this expectation that, fingers crossed, when a vaccine does come out, there will be strong messaging, heightened protocols in the early days of these cleaning measures, but that a lot of this is temporary. But what elements do you both expect could be a permanent fixture going forward for operators and the company at large?
Well, I think it's important to remember that we all live and breathe cleanliness every day. It is so core to the hospitality promise. And as large hotel chains, we have systems in place that mean that we can monitor daily how hotels are doing. We have interventions in place. Franck mentioned the partnership in verifying. We've got a verification program, which really is an enhancement to what we already do. So I think we have to remember that we're not starting from scratch and taking this incredibly seriously. I think we will absolutely see for the foreseeable period of time the need to be absolutely even more on top of our game. So the increased sanitation is just something I think will form new habits for us. Social distancing measures or physical distancing measures, we will be following the guidance, and we will over time learn more and more about the situations in which it is safer than others. So I think currently we have the simple sort of outdoor, indoor, lens on it, and various roles in our hotel, perhaps having more or less need for protective equipment, etc. At the end of the day, I think the hotel industry always shows that we are incredibly good at responding and being creative in solutions, and I think we're seeing that now. And we will continue to follow what we actually see unfolding country by country.
Yeah, I would add on to this that this is really typical of our industry, and we should turn this constraint into an asset, a benefit for each of us, because the reason why many customers come to our hotel and not for some of them to private rentals is also because they got this trust and comfort that, yes, they will find a very clean, safe place where they would go because the standards are really state of the art. There is someone professional behind that, recognized and acknowledged brands behind that. So this is really the beauty of our industry, and we should be really with zero doubt on that and tolerance on that. But beyond that, we need also to keep this caring approach because this is what really people come and look after, this caring, this warmth in the attitude, in the words. So how to cope between this warmth in the attitude and the social or physical distance, this is what we will have to reinvent. And this is probably where we will have to play more and more between digital tools, enabling many people to do things on their own, check in, check out, opening the keys or whatever, and also discussion, conversation with the teams, but with today 1 meter distance and tomorrow probably less, but still some distance and not that crowded environment as today. And this is, I think, the future we need to reinvent together.
Definitely. As a follow-up, Franck, with all these health and safety measures, but also having as many brands as Accor does, I think there is this question about brand identity and brand preservation through something like this, especially at a time when a lot of these measures are kind of temporarily wiping out some of the high-touch amenities that people expect from luxury properties. So, I mean, how do you preserve this element of luxury at some of your higher-end hotels in the early days of social distancing and kind of a pivot away from high touch?
First, this topic will be really a common break to everyone. And I mean, we will have, there is no choice. And really, we will be very harsh on that to make sure that whatever the brand, coming from the super eco budget to the high-end luxury, you will find those elements of safety. Then the way you will find them and the way you will experience your journey will remain different. And what you will come and look for coming to an M gallery will not be the same as when you come to an Ibis. And this is where the brand story comes in. And the way to implement those new standards, brand standards, will be very different. And we know that for the luxe brands, for example, obviously, the way you will personalize the journey will be more and more important in this new environment. Then this is also where you could put the brand, and because it's not because you are implementing some protocol and some sanitary measures that your journey needs to be bad and ugly. And I'm convinced of the contrary. And this is where the brand played their role to say, yes, the mask, the way to design and show how to move into the hotel, the way to reinvent the bar, the restaurant, the way the amenities are kept in the room. This is where the brand need to come back to show you that you are in this environment. So let's not put it aside and leave it away. But for sure, the common brick is there for everyone.
Great. Before we go, I have just a few more questions left, and I did want to pose this. I know, obviously, it might seem strange to look for growth opportunities given everything that's happening right now, but a lot of people say that some of the best opportunities are found in moments like this. So, I mean, how are you both exploring opportunities for growth despite what's shaping out to be a very awful year for travel?
I think it's actually one of the very encouraging things that are going on right now is that we are still seeing investors wanting to invest in the hotel industry. We signed globally 104 deals in the first quarter, and we've seen through Q2 that there are still people out there that want to do deals. I think there will be some large projects that might take a little bit longer to get to the final signature, but it is happening. And I think the second point to that is, in situations like this, we talked about consumers seeking out trusted brands as a key driver of what they're doing. We're also seeing owners and investors seeking out trusted brands. So given that about half of the stock in Europe is unbranded, there is a tremendous opportunity for conversions into larger hotel chain stock. So I think we should feel very confident about the underlying factors of travel and tourism remaining in place. The fact that those that are investing for the long term acknowledge that and they're going ahead, and that in the shorter term, we're probably going to see even more of those that might have taken a punt to be independent actually now seek out the reassurance, the benefits, the support that they get from global brands.
So real quick as a follow-up, is growth expected to come primarily through conversion, not new construction in the next couple of years?
I think you'll definitely see an increase in conversions as a key driver, as a near-term driver. In the luxury end of the market, many larger projects are still planning to go ahead. As I said, with that longer-term investment horizon, the appetite is still there, but we certainly see as a near-term opportunity the increase in conversions.
There will be many opportunities. I'm fully in line with you, Karin. We will see more and more conversion, and this is why, getting back to your previous question, Cameron, on the number of brands, you need to get into your portfolio brands allowing and enabling really quick conversions. And we've created some new brands. So we had 37 of them. We did create 3 of them, now coming to 40 of them. And you could ask me, but are those brands proving right? And the answer is yes, because the level of development is really still very good, and probably it's surprising for most of the people, but there is some energy investment right now, many opportunities, and we've been able to sign with our new brands or already to open with our new brands. So to, for example, to sign a new tribe in Amsterdam. This is one of the first tribe we are taking into Europe. And we've been opening, for example, a new Movenpick, which is one of our new brands in Den Haag. And all those brands have more and more success in this period because you want some quick and efficient conversion, and you want maybe something new, different also from what is existing to show something different to the customer. So yes, I think we need to be here together, all those chains, enabling a quick conversion from all those independent hotels whose life will be more and more difficult in those times because the cost of the operation, the cost of being visible on the web, all of that will probably increase. And this is where the importance of our global ecosystem, is it loyalty, is it digital, is it distribution, is becoming more and more relevant.
Great. Before we get into what ultimately are you both needing to have happen for your company, for the hotel industry, for travel at large, in order to get to the other side of this recovery trajectory we're on?
Well, I think we need to see the continued commitment of governments around the world to the travel and tourism industry. I mean, 1 out of 10 jobs in the world is in the tourism industry. And I think there has been an acknowledgement of that in terms of the focus on the impact. We're going to need to see governments injecting money into the economy. So here in the UK, we are expecting to see announcements today about large infrastructure investments, which helps, again, the travel industry. And we need to continue to work through, obviously for the long term, how we navigate getting through the pandemic so we can rebuild this reassurance around the fact that people can travel safely. And I think we're all absolutely convinced that we can create an incredibly safe and comfortable stay in hotels, and that we can activate venues that support hotels to make sure that we actually get back to that. So I would say we need continued commitment, lobbying with governments to make sure that the investment is there, that the support for the industry as we go through an unprecedented time, let's be honest, is there, because for the long term, it's an incredible driver of the economy. It is fundamental to people's lives and people's health that we have holidays, that we do travel. So let's make sure we can be united in getting through this and get on with what we do best, which is delivering true hospitality to people worldwide.
I'm fully in line. Maybe in 3 words, what I would say is first, remind, as you said, Karin, remind to everyone the importance of this tourism industry. 1 job out of 10 is in this industry. 1 job out of 5 is created in this industry. That's crucial. I mean, more than 50% of the employees in our hotels are under the age of 35. For all the young people, that's key that we preserve this industry. So first, remind. Second, reassure. reassure that this is possible, still possible to travel, to go to the hotel, to go and visit some new destination. That's key, and this is what we do with the different governments. And maybe, but my third thing would be reinvent. Reinvent, because there will be a new way to travel, there will be a new way to do some business travel, and there will be probably a new way to attract local people to our hotels, becoming social hubs. So we'll have to reinvent ourselves in this really challenging era. But I think we've proven, all of us, that we were very optimistic, resilient, and this is what we want to do together, that's for sure. So this is why there is a strong hope for this recovery, for sure.
Great. Well, I think that's a great note to end on. So, Franck, Karin, thank you both so much for joining us this morning, and hope everyone enjoys the rest of Skift Forum Europe.
Thank you, Cameron.
Bye-bye. Thank you.